scale characteristic traits of Source. Now, one would assume if we were to be dealing with anything deemed divine, that it would hold the elements and character traits that Source has. For example, if one were to be divine, they would be whole, eternal, in one. There are many visions and reflections of Source, but today I want to bring this conversation to the one creation of Source that I call divine mathematics. Utilizing the fingerprint of God from Marco Rodin's Vortex Math, this chart is one of the best multidimensional descriptions and depictions of numbers in our existing universe, the format and structure of our universe, as well as the equation and application, process and formula for creation itself. And this is for perfect creation, or I would say perfection. Because this geometry which I will be showing is one that is perfect. It is symmetrical, balanced, holds the characteristic traits of Source itself, unending, as well as has the character trait of overunity, or creating more or reflecting back more or giving more energy than when one started as a response. They call this overunity, and this is also an intrinsic essential aspect of Source's Source being eternity. It is eternal love, where there is no limitation or limit of love as energy. This fingerprint of God can be scaled in many different ways, whether one wants to understand magnetism or different more complex ratios and dynamics of other types of things. It works perfectly and has within it everything you need to do any and all mathematical computations necessary. The reason I like it the most is it also is the only thing I found that explains and breaks down the concept of duality, polarity, as well as how that applies to magnetism. This can also produce a free energy model because it charts and scopes out the 0 point perfectly, explaining what it truly is as a depolarization of the third 3D and 4D or ether, thus opening a vortex, and a spark of that eternal energy or etheric energy, whatever you want to call it, is produced and can be captured or utilized. But this can only happen through a depolarization process, or what I like to call the unification process. I find this very akin or similar to ascension with the body, and that is when you have particle and antiparticle merge and transmute, or transfigure the body form and consciousness into light and that is at a unification point that I feel is very similar to the 0 point. The more you work with the torus or the perfect mathematical geometry and energy flow, the combinations that the fingerprint of God will create, it will reflect how energy naturally flows or wants to flow in regards to manifestation in our dimension. The reason this is important is because everything at its essence is a toroid, and we'll have that energetic construct as a form. This construct, when connected to all that is and everything that exists, creates almost like a puzzle connecting dynamic, where all that exists is one with everything else, yet can also hold some levels of illusionary singularity or holographic singularity, while still being the essence of the one original one, and at the same time experience things as if it were separate, even though that's an illusion as well. When things are broken down into this geometry, truly everything that one would think is impossible can be explained and is possible. The reason this is the basis for divine mathematics is because it holds the same characteristic traits as Source. And I challenge those who think not to prove me wrong if they want. But I'm sure, and I know that they won't be able to.